What's good, y'all? It's your boy Hollywood Chuck. I'm here with Jowan Smith of 1,000 Ties, CEO, founder of 1,000 Ties mentorship program for young boys.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you originally started the nonprofit because your son was trying to learn how to put a tie together. You said today I got my tie on. You know what I'm
see you
saying? And guess what I had to
together.
do? Guess what I had to do, y'all?
Oh no.
I had to go to YouTube.
Oh no.
Again,
Oh
but I
no.
always have to go to YouTube. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
okay. That's why we're here. Like our focus is our young people. I'm in the community. I'm stopping everybody. I get
Yeah.
them all ages, and you have to show me
Yeah.
that you know. And if you don't, it's no shame. I'm gonna teach you.
Mm-hmm. Two loops in a swoop. You know what I'm saying? And then you got whoop de whoop. But take me because this would had to be like something inspirational for you to see your see your son trying to learn how to fix his tie, and then you have a vision that carried you through. That's been picking up. That's a full head of steam. People been talking to you. People been bringing you on the news. So
Yeah, so he actually had to go on YouTube, and so for me, I'm kind of one of those moms that feel like I'm super mom.
mm-hmm.
So it kind of hurt my feelings.
Did you
Like,
know how to tie a tie?
no, I didn't at that time, and I'm from Huff, and so at the time we was living on Huff. So
Okay.
I'm like, he kept asking me, so I'm like asking all my guys in the neighborhood, like, can you come teach my son? Can you teach my son?
They didn't know.
None of the hood dudes, none of my homies knew how to teach my son how to tie tie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, man, this is really bad. And so
Right.
he ended up going on YouTube. And so for me, it just made me think about all of the other young people, young adults, people my age that just do not have this skill. And for some, it might seem like a basic skill because everybody should have a tie.
It lit
in their
off a
closet.
light in your head.
Yeah, and I was like, so maybe if we take a day and just make it all about our young people and not only teach them how to tie the tie, this can be the conversation starter,
Mm-hmm.
but teach them other skills, connect them with men that can kind of lighten their load and be mentors to them. So not your basketball players, not your football players.
Yeah.
I'm talking about your teachers, your custodians, your bus drivers, your janitors, like people they see every day
Yeah.
that they probably look past, like, oh, he's just a janitor, but
Mhm.
you don't know what path that janitor took.
Yeah.
And so I thought we could take this day and just kind of pour into our young people. And so I actually tried to get an idea away to like 5 people, 5 guys.
Before you started
Yes,
the mentorship
because
program?
I kind of felt
Wow.
like, it would look good if we get all these men together and these men,
Yeah.
and they embracing our young boys. But everybody I tried to give it to, nobody did it. And so I'm real good friends with Al Grimes from the Fatherhood Initiative. And so we were at this meeting, and I was kind of just talking
That's on
out
Huff too,
loud.
right?
The Fatherhood Initiative.
Is that used to be on Huff?
They run through the county, so
Okay.
it's county ran. And so Al Grimes spearheads that program, and the initiative is to help fathers, dealing with different things, child
Mhm.
support, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And so we were at a school, and I was telling him my idea, like we just need to take one day and
Mhm.
use the ties as the conversation piece. And so a year later, he's like, "Hey Joe, what happened with the idea?" I'm like, "I tried to give it away. Like I tried to tell a couple guys, like, hey,
Yeah.
get your guys together, do this," and nobody would do it. And so Al told me, he said, "You know what? You do it."
You
And
do
I
it.
said, "Why me? Like
I'm a
I'm not a
woman.
man. I'm a woman." And he said, "But you're a mother,
Yeah.
and that's the key.
With a son.
You're a mother raising a young man in probably one of the worst neighborhoods in the city."
Is
So
Trayvon your only son?
yes,
Okay.
yes, he's my only biological. And so I said, "But I don't have that. I'm not a man, which means I don't have, the connections. I don't have, those
Mhm.
relationships in the community." And he said, "If you spearhead it, I support you.
Mm-hmm.
By any means necessary, I'm gonna support you."
Right.
And that's what he has done. He has been by my side the whole ride, making sure.
The Fatherhood Initiative.
Al Grimes.
Al
he's
Grimes.
made sure that
Shout
I
out to
had
him.
support him, and then also my good friend Jermel Carr, who is with the fraternities. He's a Q.
Mhm.
And that was the partnership that was necessary to bring the men in.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm a woman. Maybe if some of my friends would be willing. So Jamel brought the Qs in, which followed up to bring the Kappas and the Alphas
Okay.
and the Sigmas.
Okay.
So now we have all of the fraternities that are in support of the work.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
so big. So starting from Huff, you looking at your son, he messing with this tie, and so it took you You gave the idea away, and this guy came back to you and was like, Mr. Grimes, right?
Mr. Grimes.
Mr. Grimes. Mr. Grimes came back to you and was like, "Yo, why don't you do this?" And you just been full steam ahead with it. And so, what was your first step to developing the program? Like, did you link up with some people? Did you just start getting ties? How did it go?
So I had started an educational consulting firm. I had quit my job at the county, and I was running a parent-based educational consulting firm. So getting our babies to college 101, our goal was to help families to navigate the college prep process or whatever that looks like for your child after they graduate, whether that's college, trade, or military. So I was working in the school districts. They would contract me and I would come in and do that. And so my thought process was to leverage those relationships to be able to build this day, this event.
Okay.
So my thought initially was, okay, what can I call this? And so I said, well, maybe I can get people to donate me 1,000 ties because I didn't want to buy 1,000 ties. I'm like, I don't have no money to go out here. So I'm like, maybe if I can see if people would donate me 1,000 ties. And then I was like, you know what? I kind of like that name.
that is a dope name. That's catchy.
I'm like, I kind of like it. And so my friend Jamel got with his graphics guy, created me the logo. And so I don't know if you've ever seen the logo, but the number 1 is a bow tie. And then the T is a regular tie.
I see that.
So trying to incorporate it all. So I thought that was pretty cool. And so I got with all of my partners in my community connections that I have from my consulting firm. And I just asked the businesses, hey, can we put donation boxes at your places?
For ties.
And then I had a great relationship with the Cleveland Public Library, the president director there. And so I said, well, maybe a couple of your branches will let us put boxes there. They love the idea. To this day, we still have boxes in 3 different library branches that you can go and donate ties.
Okay.
And so I just started using...
Like the name? Like the name?
Yes. So Memorial Nottingham is one branch, the Westlake Library branch, and the Lee and Harvard. These are all Cleveland Public Libraries.
So if you need to go on that job interview, if you need to go anywhere that require a tie, these are some locations you can go pick up a new
or gently used ties, and that's
for free.
Yes, for free, children and adults.
And that's courtesy of 1,000 ties.
Yes, you can go get a tie. Even females, if you need a tie, go in there, just go to the desk and say, hey, can I get one of the ties? And they'll give it to you.
So the consultant firm. What's the name of your consultant firm?
It's called Getting Our Babies to College 101.
Getting Our Babies. So you really entrenched in really making a difference in the kids' lives and the communities that we live in.
So my big thing is using your pain points. My grandmother used to always say, don't complain about the problem, find a solution.
Right.
And so for me, with my consulting firm, my daughter has dyslexia. And so when she was in high school, one of the teachers told her, you're not going to go to college, just get ready to go into workforce. So pretty much, don't even think about it. And so for my daughter, she's a fighter. She was like, you're not going to tell me what I can't do.
Who you talking to? Who was you talking to?
And so I call her my little chihuahua because you tell her that she gonna bite the she on it. And so once they told her that, she like, Mom, I want to go to school. Let's figure this out. So for me, I'm a researcher. I started to figure it out myself, and then I started bringing coaches in. My daughter's a left-handed volleyball player. She went to East Tech, and we would call schools, and they would say, oh no, we don't scout in Cleveland because the academics. They bring the kids there, and they can't keep up the academics, and so they end up losing scholarships. So they don't scout. And so, and once I told them how tall she was, they like, oh no, we're not coming there. She only 5'6". But when I tell you, this is probably the strongest little person you've ever seen. And when I say the power, you never want her to throw a softball at you, is what I'm going to say.
Right.
And she played all sports, volleyball, softball, basketball, ran track, even weightlifting. She's like 100 pounds. She's got weightlifting trophies. But we decided to try and use that athleticism to get her to school. Okay. And so other parents that weren't on the high GPA role where, you know, the college nows and all of them were kind of throwing stuff at them. All of those parents were like, hey, we want our kids to go to school too. Right. So it went from me just working for my daughter to sitting with other parents. I would be on Saturday and Sunday in people's kitchens. We on figuring out the future for these kids. Figuring out how to get these dollars, which scholarships to apply for, which schools make the most sense. And so it kind of just blossomed, and I entered this pitch competition with the Cleveland Leadership Center. It's called the Accelerate. So it's a competition for everyday people that have ideas that can improve our community. And so I won the education category, and one of my
Big.
judges
Doing
was
it big.
Eric Gordon, who is the CEO of the school district. So that next week, he actually had his people find me. And so that next week, I had a meeting. That next week, I had a contract.
Talking about and we talking about diamonds in the rough, y'all. We talking about people that want to make a change, that see an issue, want to make a change, and put their best foot forward to do that. And we got Jowan Smith right here, 1,000 ties, definitely making an impact all over the news, definitely making an impact in these young boys' lives, because we losing a lot of our young kids at a high rate, to everything.
As I was just talking to somebody, this is probably my worst school year. I've lost 3 boys this year. And for me, it's me pushing my foot on the gas even more, because we got to hurry up. It's a sense of urgency. I mean, we can't stop what's happening in the streets, but we can try to impart as many skills and tools as possible to try to pull them away from what's happening. We can't save them all, but I want to save as many as I can.
Yeah, and so coming from the Huff neighborhood, and it's gotten better. The area's gotten somewhat better. So you moved your son away from that area.
Yes.
And how did your son feel about the nonprofit? You started a nonprofit. What was his when you came to him with it? Like, son, we gonna make this happen. I'm gonna put this thing together. 1,000 ties. Was he in on the process of building it?
Very supportive. Very supportive. He always tell people, when I quit my job, he was scared for his life.
He liked the bag, mama, the bag. No.
Because I just came home one day, was like, yeah, it's over. And so I didn't know
like,
at that
what?
time that
No more
he
what?
was panicked. But now that he's an adult, when we be out speaking, he always say, well, mama just don't know. I'm so scared.
Take the what? Leave the what, mom?
But I felt like the opportunities that were presenting themselves, like I was being stuck. I was stuck. Yeah. And so I was becoming that person that was too scared to lose to gain.
Yeah.
And so I had to walk away so that I could grow, because what I was doing was becoming so big, it was actually becoming a distraction at work. So
I'm 1,000 ties.
My consulting firm and 1,000 ties, because I was on the news like every other week. Like
they like, what's going on?
Armin Buddhist was sending me emails and messages like, ma'am, what's going on? And so it was becoming a point where it was just time. I had to move, and I had to move on. And so being able to continue to watch my son grow, him and his friends, it helped me to build a curriculum for what we have. So
in the schools?
Yes. So it's grown from that one day to now we're in 5 different school districts.
So you work in all different school districts, not just Cleveland Public Schools.
Yes.
All over, really the county somewhat.
Yeah.
And so what's some of the schools you work at?
So my favorites, they always say they're my favorites, but Invictus, those are my babies. I love them. I'm at all 3 of their campuses. And then Milkovich, which is in Maple Heights, that's my largest group. I have 120 boys over there.
Wow,
that's
my big.
Babies. And then Richmond Heights, I actually work with the girls. So that's a little different. It's different.
Girls that wear ties, because women wear what? Bow ties at prep schools?
They wear ties, they wear neck scarves, but we working more on social and emotional etiquette. So that's kind of like we're jumping way ahead, trying to teach life skills at a certain stage. We have to actually teach the social and emotional etiquette first. So that's kind of where we're starting with our middle school kids.
Okay, and what's the other 2?
So it's Cleveland, Richmond, Maple, Invictus, and then also doing a little bit here and there with Beechwood schools. So it's kind of like when they call me in theirs, it's not as consistent as the other school districts.
So my thing is this, Jowan. When they call you to Richmond and they call you to Beechwood, it's about social skills more so than dress code? I mean, it's about skills more than dress code?
It's more of so Beechwood is more college prep. It's more of the getting our babies to college stuff. Richmond is definitely social and emotional etiquette. We just recently did dining etiquette. They did their pitch competition.
Put your fork over here.
So, yeah. And a lot of them was like, we're not going to never use this. I said, yes, you will.
You never know.
I said, you going to be out one day and it's going to click like, oh, Miss Smith said.
And you never know. You never know where you're going to be, and you got to use that.
Exactly. And you want to be one step ahead. Like, you know, if everybody at the table, they're not using the right etiquette and you are, they might pick up on what you're doing. Like, she put her napkin in her lap.
Let's give her this.
Yeah, maybe I should put my napkin in my lap. Like, they can pick up on it. So be that one. Be the change.